How's it going, everybody? J-Mac here. Today we're going to run an Acid Cloud Torment 10 speed build, also known as Speed Puke. This is very similar to something that I ran early on in Reaper of Souls and even in Reaper of Souls Beta. Back then, set items were kind of difficult to get, and this was a very efficient way to farm, even like Torment 1 back in the beta. Torment 1 back then was pretty difficult, but this build is going to be a Torment 10 speed farming setup. Very easy to do, 2.5 to 3 minute riffs at times depending on the map, and it's really focused around a couple things. So obvious choice is the Helltooth set. The 6-piece is going to buff our Acid Cloud by 900% damage, and then we're running the brand new Suwong Diviner. This thing has the effect, Acid Cloud gains the effect of the Lob Blob Bomb rune, and then it also rolls up to 100% Acid Cloud damage. So already being a two-hander, Acid Cloud is going to hit really hard, every time you cast it, and it gets a ton of Acid Cloud damage on this as well. And really, you want each Acid Cloud to be hitting as hard as possible, because really what you want to do is drop one Acid Cloud on a group of white mobs, and then just move on. You don't want to have to cast it twice in the same area. You have to cast it maybe a couple times on elites and champions, depending on how much health they have and things like that. But for the most part, it's you drop an Acid Cloud, move on with a bunch of movement speed, and that way you can do Torment 10 as efficiently and as quickly as you possibly can. Let's take a look at the abilities. So we have Acid Cloud, Acid Rain. This increases the radius of Acid Cloud to 24 yards. And then Acid Cloud does 300% damage and then leaves a pool of poison that deals 360% weapon damage over 3 seconds. Again, being buffed by Helltooth. We're also running Grid Reaper, which got significant buffs in the last couple PTR patches, to where the mimics actually deal a ton of damage, so their Acid Clouds will also be hitting really hard. Corpse Spiders, Blazing Spiders, this is really to proc Focus and Restraint more than anything else, but it does give you some mana back at times if you need it. Soul Harvest, Soul to Waste, you gain 5% increased movement speed for each enemy harvested, so 25% static move speed there. You also get Intelligence out of it, which is a little bit more damage. Spirit Walk, Honored Guest, this could definitely be Jaunt for more mobility, but I found that I just really wanted to make sure that I didn't have any mana issues whatsoever, so I've been running Honored Guest. But you may not need it. There were definitely a lot of times where I didn't need Honored Guest, so run Jaunt there if you'd like it instead. Summon Zombie Dogs, Chilled to the Bone, a little bit more damage against elites and champions, really more than anything else. It depends on what kind of build you're running. We're going to go over some gearing and cube variations here soon, but if you're running Gold Wrap, you don't really need Lifelink dogs, but if you're running, say, a Witching Hour instead, and you're not basically immortal, because with Gold Wrap, you get to a point where if you run it with, like, say, Avarice Band, you basically just can't die. If you're running Witching Hour, maybe switch this to Summon Zombie Dogs Lifelink. The biggest reason why you're running dogs in general, though, is for Fierce Loyalty. We have Fierce Loyalty on our Hellfire Amulet, and that just gives you a good bit more movement speed. Wall of Death, Ring of Poison. You have to cast Wall of Death to get the 6-piece set buff to your Acid Rain, and this is the Poison rune. We're stacking poison damage on our gear, and it really does pretty good damage. With Grave Injustice, you can cast it quite often, although for the most part, you want to be casting Acid Cloud, Acid Rain over this unless you need to refresh your buff. Blood Ritual, really just some mana reduction there. Grave Injustice, we're going to be killing things so quickly, especially when you run the Avarice Band. This will proc from forever away. Pierce the Veil for more damage, and then Gruesome Feast for more damage. Again, with the Avarice Band, you get up to 30 pickup radius out of that, and you can pick up health globes from, across the map just about. And then in the Hellfire Amulet, we're running the Fierce Loyalty passive for more movement speed. As far as gear, again, we have the Suwong Diviner with a life per hit roll. If you're not running Gold Wrap, life per hit or a Vitality roll is good. If you are running the Gold Wrap, probably go Resource Cost Reduction or Elite Damage on that. As far as Helltooth pieces go, at the Helltooth Greaves, Acid Cloud damage is the most important roll there. The Pants, Int Vit Armor, 2 sockets. Chest piece, Int Vit, damage reduction from elites, 3 sockets. Again, if you're not running Gold Wrap, the damage reduction from elites is good. If you are running Gold Wrap, probably just switch this to Wall of Death damage. In the end, Wall of Death really doesn't do that much of your damage. It's really mostly Acid Rain, but it still does a decent amount, so you may as well buff it if you don't need the reduction from elites. And then we've got the Helltooth Mantle, Int Vit, CDR, and then Resource Cost Reduction. The CDR could definitely be Wall of Death damage here as well. Helltooth gauntlets, int, crit damage, crit chance are the most important parts. And then we have the Helltooth mask, int, crit chance, make sure you get that acid cloud damage, and then a socket. Currently with a life percentage gem, this could definitely be a CDR gem as well. About half of the runs in the video were with gold wrap, and about half the runs were with witching hour. Some different variations with avarice band and things like that. So really, if you have the gold wrap, you don't really need to worry about too much toughness. You can kind of just go glass cannon. If you don't, you need to make sure you balance your toughness a little bit. We've got the Hellfire Amulet, poison damage, crit chance, and a socket. The Warzekian arm guards. Really, your acid rain has such a large radius on it, and you're just kind of casting it wherever that wreckable objects are going to get broken without you really even trying to do it. So you get a nice speed buff pretty often without having to go out of your way to get the buff. So I like the Warzekian arm guards here. You'd also run Jerem's bracers if you wanted to cast Wall of Death more often. But you really want to be casting acid rain, so I don't really see why you would do that. But hey, if you want to, go for it. Then we've got the focus and restraint, so there's the restraint there. And the focus. And then we've got the gold wrap. On gold pickup, gain armor for 5 seconds equal to the amount picked up. So if you're running this, pretty much you just have to be very careful at the beginning of a rift. If you haven't picked up any gold yet, you could potentially die. So once you get that first pack of mobs killed and you start picking up gold, you should really be pretty much unkillable for the rest of the rift unless you have some sort of lull in killing. But as long as you're killing very quickly in a Torment 10 rift, which in this build you should be, you should really never die with this setup, especially if you're running the Avarice Band for 30 more pickup radius too. So yeah. As far as legendary gems go, we've got the Bane of the Trapped, which is going to be procced by Necrosis from the 2-piece Helltooth, which should be on the enemies pretty much all the time. Nice damage multiplier there. Got the Boon of the Hoarder, you get 30% move speed for 2 seconds after picking up gold. You'll be picking up gold constantly. And then we've got the Bane of the Powerful, 20% increased damage for 55 seconds after killing an elite pack. And when you're moving this fast through a rift, as soon as you kill that first elite or champion, you should have this the entire rift, and then more damage versus elites as the secondary effect as well. Next up we have the Kenai's Cube. So I'm running Furnace currently, I think that's the best option. You could also potentially go with an Engiom, although you don't really need to reduce cooldowns in this build for the most part. A lot of times in Torment 10 builds you do want to do this for specific abilities, but for this one you really just have a spammable ability that's the majority of your damage, so I think Furnace is the best. Got the Grin Reaper here. I think this is just definitely the best option, getting those mimics. Also casting Acid Rain is insane. And then currently I've got the Avarice Band. Each time you pick up gold, increase your gold and health pickup radius by 1 yard for 10 seconds, stacking up to 30 times. Which is just crazy, especially in tandem with Boon of the Hoarder and the gold wrap. Other options would be to go Convention of Elements. When this rotates around to poison, you basically just one-shot stuff. Pretty nuts. I would say if you're going to run this, you're going to want to switch the gold wrap maybe to a witching hour. Although you could run this with the gold wrap and just not run Avarice Band. If you're going to do that, you need to make sure you get 8 to 10 pickup radius at minimum on your gear. So you need a few 2 pickup radius rolls on your gear setup to drop the Avarice Band. But even then, I think the 30 pickup radius, especially with running things like Grave Injustice and Gruesome Feast, is just the best option. But Convention is definitely something you could run if you prefer that. Paragon Points wise, get as much movement speed as you need. I have 12% on my boots, then it went Intelligence. Offense wise, crit chance, crit damage, then CDR probably, then attack speed, although these are kind of interchangeable. The attack speed, if you want to just be able to cast the Acid Clouds faster, you are running a two-hander, so your attack speed isn't terribly high, so that may be better than the CDR, but the crit chance, crit damage are the most important parts. Defense-wise, armor percentage, life percentage, all resist, life regen. Utility-wise, resource cost reduction first, then gold find, then probably area damage, then life on hit. Maybe life on hit first if you're not running the gold wrap. Just kind of depends there, but the resource cost reduction is very important, and then the gold find. But yeah. So there you go, guys. There's the build. I hope you like it. I'm really glad to see this build back finally. It was one of my all-time favorites from back in the beta. And it's a lot of fun, and it's very efficient for Torment 10 farming. It may not be quite as fast as some Angry Chicken Mana Juma variations, but it's very close, and it's a lot of fun. I really like just how much AoE the build has, because for Torment 10 farming at times, you kind of just want to go a little bit mindless with it, and I feel like this is just kind of point and click, and really the radius of the Acid Rain and the Mimics will take care of killing stuff for you. So, anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. I'm going to leave you with a little bit more gameplay, and I'll see you next time.
My strife is true. Needs more time. Not ready yet. Find you. The Rift Guardian has found it. Need more time. Needs more time. My strife is true. Not ready yet. This will evade me. Not ready yet. Need more mana. I strike at your heart. Needs more time. Need more time. Needs more time. I strike at your heart.